Good morning, I am Sean Cavanaugh, the head of CMS. Today I want to introduce the new proposed exception to the 2 midnight rule. We have been under great pressure from stakeholders to modify the 2 midnight rule. I'm happy they are only holding steaks and not tomatoes, while we have been clear that the 2 midnight benchmark does not override the clinical judgment of the physician regarding the need to keep the beneficiary at the hospital, to order specific services, or to determine appropriate levels of nursing care or physical locations within the hospital. Some stakeholders have argued that the 2 midnight benchmark removes physician judgment from the decision to admit a patient for inpatient hospital services. We disagree, but, to satisfy them, we are going to allow physicians to use their judgment to determine that a patient needing less than 2 midnights can be an inpatient. This should be rare and unusual and supported by documentation, but we are not going to define those. What does this mean? It means there is no difference between inpatient and outpatient care except when physician judgment says there is a difference. And please remember, you asked for this. So go have fun figuring it out and implementing it.
Nurse, Mr. Sparrow was having chest pain. He is a smoker and at high risk. We need to get him to the cath lab right away.
Okay, doctor, we need a status order. It sounds like he may go home tomorrow, so I would suggest observation.
Observation? Didn't you hear me say he is at high risk? I want inpatient.
But doctor.
No buts. I am the doctor. I give the orders around here. Now let's get him admitted as an inpatient and get him to the cath lab right away.
That is some trick he does. Think he will teach me how to do that?
I am sorry, Mr. Sparrow, that is something that only doctors can do. Medicare tells them that their judgment overrides all the sensible rules Medicare has written.
Well, here is a 1-day stay for a patient with chest pain who went to the cath lab. The doctor ordered inpatient admission, but this patient went home the next morning. This is a pretty easy denial. High-risk chest pain patients are not rare and unusual, so I am going to deny this and refer this hospital to the recovery auditors for auditing.
Our next speaker is well-known healthcare attorney Jessica Gustafson.
I would advise all hospitals not to look at this as a new exception, but rather as a denial track. If they do not give us more detailed guidance on what cases fit here, then it is sure to lead to trouble. Since admission and observation are the same except the length of time, no doctor documentation can possibly justify admission of a short stay. In late October or early November we should see the final rule. So until then, the rule of the land is an expectation of more or less than a 2 midnight stay. Thank you.
Oh hi. This new proposal is really quite silly. Every exception to a rule makes the rule harder to implement. This is not about physician judgment. It is about getting paid appropriately for the care that is provided. I find it disingenuous to mask a payment issue behind the veil of physician decision-making. We should ask Medicare to pay more for observation and not create more exceptions that benefit only the auditors by creating loopholes. Well, if one thing is known, it is that we can never predict what CMS will do. I'm hoping they do not adopt this exception without extensive guidance. Until then, the 2 midnight expectation stands. Talk to you all later.